May 21, 1940, 14:30 hours. Arras, France. Major General Erwin Rommel stood on his command vehicle, watching British tanks advance. He counted them. 1, 5, 10, 20. More appearing. Heavy tanks, moving slowly, deliberately, unstoppably. His anti-tank guns fired. Direct hits. Shells bounced off. Ricocheted. Did nothing. The tanks continued, crushing wire, crossing trenches, destroying positions. His infantry fled, panicked, routed. His artillery withdrew, retreated, abandoned positions. Everything was collapsing. The British counterattack was succeeding, impossibly, unexpectedly, devastatingly. Rommel was experiencing something new, something he'd never felt before, something no German commander had experienced since Poland campaign started. Doubt, uncertainty, fear. The invincible Wehrmacht was being stopped by obsolete British tanks, by ridiculously slow vehicles, by equipment everyone had mocked. The joke wasn't funny anymore. The laughter had stopped. Reality was terrifying. The tank was Matilda II, infantry tank, British design, produced since 1937. Everyone knew about it. Everyone laughed about it. Slow, underpowered, inadequate armament, maximum speed, 15 miles per hour. Pathetic. German panzers did 40, French tanks did 30. Even Polish tanks were faster. Matilda was slowest operational tank in any army. Joke tank. Museum piece. Relic. Shouldn't be in modern warfare. Shouldn't be effective. Shouldn't matter. Let's pause here for a moment. If you find value in stories like this, you can support the channel by liking the video and subscribing. After watching, leaving a brief comment, even a simple word, helps more than you might expect. Your support keeps these stories alive and visible. Thank you. Let's move on. The specifications reinforced mockery. A-11E1 Infantry Tank Mark II, official designation. Weight, 26.9 tons. Length, 5.61 meters. Width, 2.59 meters. Height, 2.51 meters. Crew, 4 men. Commander, gunner, loader, driver. No radio operator initially. Early models had no radio. Communication by flags. Visual signals. Completely obsolete method. 1940 warfare required radios, coordination, communication, command. Matilda had none, initially, later retrofitted. But initial production? Ancient technology, 19th century methods, ridiculous. The engine was underpowered. Twin AEC diesel engines. Combined output, 190 horsepower, for 26.9 tons. Power-to-weight ratio, 7 horsepower per ton. Abysmal. German Panzer III had 15 horsepower per ton. French Somua had 16. Everyone had better. Matilda was worst. This created the speed problem. Maximum road speed, 24 kilometers per hour, 15 miles per hour. Cross-country speed, 12 kilometers per hour, 8 miles per hour. Walking pace, literally. Infantry marched faster than Matilda drove. This was deliberate. Design requirement. Infantry tank supports infantry, matches their pace, doesn't outrun them, doesn't abandon them, stays with them, protects them. British doctrine, sensible for purpose, terrible for general warfare. The transmission was complicated. Wilson epicyclic gearbox, pre-selector type, advanced technology actually, reliable, smooth, but slow. Gear changes took time, couldn't shift quickly, couldn't respond rapidly. Tactical disadvantage, operational limitation. Everything had trade-offs. Advanced transmission, but slow. Sophisticated engineering, but inadequate outcome. Everything compromised, everything imperfect, everything insufficient for general warfare, adequate only for specific role. Infantry support, slow advance, methodical attack. Nothing else. The suspension was innovative. Scissors-type coil spring suspension. Each track had 5 pairs of bogie wheels, 10 wheels total per side, 20 wheels total. Complex, durable, Smooth ride, good cross-country performance, despite slow speed. One advantage, small advantage, but advantage nonetheless. Tank could traverse rough terrain, maintain formation, support infantry across obstacles, trenches, craters, wire, everything World War I created, everything modern warfare maintained. Matilda could cross, could traverse, could advance, slowly but reliably, consistently, predictably. The armor was revolutionary concept, not thickness alone. Distribution, coverage, completeness, no weak points, every angle protected. Glacis, 78 millimeters. Turret front, 75 millimeters. Hull sides, 70 millimeters. Hull rear, 55 millimeters. Turret sides, 70 millimeters. Top, 20 millimeters. Bottom, 20 millimeters. Everything armored, everything protected. Even thin areas were proof against machine guns, artillery fragments, anything except direct anti-tank fire, and most anti-tank fire. 37 millimeters couldn't penetrate. 47 millimeters struggled. Only heavy weapons worked. This was revolutionary 1940. No other tank had this protection, this completeness, this confidence. The armor type was cast homogeneous, not rolled plate, not face-hardened, cast, poured into molds, solidified, machined. This process created uniform properties, no variations, no weak zones, consistent protection everywhere. But cast armor was softer than face-hardened. Same thickness, less protection theoretically. Practically? British cast armor was excellent quality. Heat treatment was sophisticated. Metallurgy was advanced. Result was armor nearly equal to face-hardened plate, but without weak zones, without vulnerabilities. Better overall protection despite theoretical inferiority. Engineering triumph, metallurgical success, practical advantage. The armament was adequate for purpose. 2-pounder gun, QF2 PDR Mark 9, 40mm caliber, high velocity, muzzle velocity, 2,650 feet per second, 809 meters per second. Excellent anti-tank performance. Could penetrate 53mm armor at 500 meters, 60 degrees angle. Adequate against German panzers. Panzer III had 30mm armor. Panzer IV had 30mm. 2-pounder could penetrate easily, reliably, consistently. Perfect anti-tank weapon for 1940, for German armor, for current threat. But high explosive capability was poor. 2-pounder shell was solid shot. Armor piercing only. No explosive filler, just kinetic penetrator. This killed tanks effectively. Penetrate, spall, kill crew, destroy systems. Simple, effective, but useless against infantry, against fortifications, against soft targets. No explosive effect, no fragmentation, no suppression. Just small hole, meaningless against infantry. This was massive limitation. Infantry tank that couldn't support infantry effectively. Could kill enemy tanks, couldn't kill enemy infantry. Wrong capability for mission, design flaw, doctrinal mismatch. British thinking was confused. Infantry tank with anti-tank gun, tank destroyer doctrine, defensive weapon, not offensive weapon, not support weapon. Everything mixed, everything compromised, everything inadequate for stated purpose. The secondary armament was machine gun. Besa 7.90 meters, coaxial mount. Next to main gun, standard configuration, 3,000 rounds carried, good suppression capability, against infantry, against soft targets, adequate secondary weapon, but primary weapon was inadequate for infantry support. 2-pounder should have been replaced with close support howitzer, high explosive, smoke, suppression, everything infantry needed, instead got anti-tank gun. Wrong weapon, wrong priority, wrong thinking. But nobody had anticipated this. German intelligence assessed Matilda as inferior tank. Slow, weak, unimportant. British themselves didn't value it highly. Produced only 139 units. Small number, limited deployment, not priority equipment, just infantry support. Slow, steady, defensive, not offensive weapon, not threat, not dangerous. So everyone thought, so everyone assumed, so everyone believed, until Arras, until May 21st, until assumptions met reality and shattered. The British counterattack at Arras was desperate measure. France was collapsing. German blitzkrieg had broken through. Panzers were racing west, cutting Allied armies, surrounding them. The situation was catastrophic. British Expeditionary Force was trapped, encircled, doomed, unless something stopped German advance, slowed them, disrupted them, created opportunity for evacuation, for survival, for escape. British command ordered counterattack. Limited objective: disrupt German supply lines, delay advance, buy time, not defeat Germans. Just slow them, that's all. Modest goal, achievable goal, hopefully. The forces available were minimal. 74 tanks, 2 battalions infantry, some artillery, against entire German 7th Panzer Division, Rommel's division, elite unit, experienced, victorious, unstoppable. The odds were impossible. The outcome seemed predetermined, but had to try. No alternative, just attack, hope, pray. The 74 British tanks included 58 Matilda II's, 16 Matilda Is. The Matilda was earlier model, even worse, even slower, lighter armor, machine guns only, no cannon, completely inadequate. Those 16 were cannon fodder, expected to die, known to be sacrificial. But Matilda II's were different. Unknown quantity, untested, uncertain. Nobody knew how they'd perform. Against panzers, against anti-tank guns, against modern warfare. Theory said they were obsolete. Reality was about to test theory. Major John King commanded the Matilda II Battalion, 7th Royal Tank Regiment, 38 years old, experienced tanker, veteran of World War I. He understood limitations. Matilda was slow, painfully slow. Maximum speed 15 miles per hour, cross-country speed 8 miles per hour, walking pace. Infantry could almost keep up. This was intentional. Infantry tank, designed to support foot soldiers, not race across country, not exploit breakthroughs, just protect, support, advance slowly, methodically, ponderously. The armament was weak. 2-pounder gun, 40 millimeter, high velocity, good armor penetration, but small explosive charge, poor high explosive capability, designed for anti-tank work, not infantry support, not bunker destruction, not artillery, just tank killing, specific purpose, narrow mission. One job. Do that job well. Ignore everything else. This created problems. Infantry needed high explosive support, bunker destruction, fortification neutralization. Matilda couldn't provide. Wrong weapon, wrong mission, wrong expectations. But the armor was extraordinary. 78 millimeters front, 65 millimeters sides, 55 millimeters rear, cast armor, homogeneous, strong, no weak spots, no vulnerabilities, everything protected, heavily protected, massively protected. Nothing in 1940 could penetrate this easily. German 37mm anti-tank guns needed point-blank range, under 300 meters. Even then, penetration was uncertain, questionable, unlikely. The armor was superior, dominant, overwhelming. If armor alone decided battles, Matilda was invincible, literally invincible. King briefed his commanders. "We're attacking Rommel's panzers. Objective is disrupt their advance, not destroy them. Just delay them. Slow them. Create chaos. We have armor advantage. Their 37mm guns can't hurt us. But we're slow. They're fast. They can maneuver. We can't. So we advance steadily. Maintain formation. Support each other. Don't chase. Don't pursue. Just advance. Destroy what's in front. Ignore flanks. Infantry handles flanks. We handle front. Simple mission. Simple tactics. Any questions?" Lieutenant James Pearson raised concern. "Sir, what about German 80 mm guns? Anti-aircraft artillery. Those can penetrate our armor. Yes, 80 millimeters can penetrate. But those are anti-aircraft guns, used against aircraft, not tanks, not ground targets. We're unlikely to encounter them in anti-tank role. German doctrine doesn't use them that way. So probably safe. Probably. But possibly not. War is uncertain. Nothing is guaranteed. But we work with probabilities. Probability is 80 to a meter guns won't be deployed against us. We accept that risk. Move forward. Complete mission. May 21st. 14:30 hours. The attack began. 58 Matilda II's advanced. Line formation, 200-meter spacing, steady pace, 8 miles per hour. Slow, mechanical, inexorable, like glaciers, like avalanches, unstoppable by normal means. The German outposts saw them coming, reported to command. British tanks, heavy tanks, many tanks, advancing toward Arras. Rommel received report. Wasn't concerned. British tanks, obsolete equipment, slow, weak. His panzers would destroy them. Easy, routine, standard engagement. He ordered anti-tank guns forward. 37mm PaK-36. Standard German anti-tank weapon. Proven, effective, adequate. In Poland, destroyed Polish tanks easily. In Belgium, destroyed French tanks adequately. Would destroy British tanks certainly. Just position. Aim, fire, simple, mechanical, inevitable. The PaK-36 crews deployed. 6 guns, covering approaches, well-positioned, good fields of fire, overlapping coverage, textbook deployment. They waited. Matildas appeared. Distance, 1,200 meters. Too far. Waited. 1,000 meters. Still far. Waited. 800 meters. Getting close. Waited. 500 meters. Good range. Prepared to fire. 400 meters. Optimal range. Fired. The PaK-36 was standard German anti-tank weapon. Panzerabwehrkanone 36. Tank defense cannon model 1936. Caliber 37 millimeters. Barrel length 1.66 meters. Weight 432 kilograms. Light. Mobile. Effective against Polish tanks, Czech tanks, early French tanks. Everything encountered so far. Adequate weapon, proven weapon, reliable weapon. Specifications. Muzzle velocity 762 meters per second. Penetration. 48 millimeters at 100 meters. 90 degrees angle. 31 millimeters at 500 meters. 26 millimeters at 1,000 meters. Adequate against Panzer II, 3. Adequate against most tanks in service, except Matilda. Matilda had 78 millimeters front armor, 65 millimeters side armor, far beyond PaK-36 capability. Physics prevented penetration. No technique, no training. No luck could overcome basic ballistics. Shell velocity insufficient. Impact energy inadequate. Penetration impossible. Simple mathematics. Certain failure. But gun crews didn't know this. German intelligence had assessed Matilda as having 30 millimeters armor. Misidentification, wrong information, fatal error. Someone confused Matilda buys with Matilda II. Different tanks, different armor. Matilda III, 30 millimeters maximum. Penetrable by PaK-36. Vulnerable. Defeatable. Matilda II, 78 millimeters maximum. Impenetrable by PaK-36. Invulnerable. Unstoppable. Intelligence failure. Information failure. Preparation failure. Gun crews prepared to fight wrong tank, against wrong armor, with wrong weapon. Doomed before firing started. The first salvo hit. 6 shells, 6 targets, 6 impacts. Direct hits. All on target. Perfect gunnery. Perfect accuracy. Perfect execution. Crews were skilled, trained, experienced. They did everything correctly. Aimed precisely. Calculated perfectly. Fired expertly. Results? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. Shells bounced off. Ricocheted skyward. Left paint marks. Scratches. Dents. Nothing meaningful. No penetration. No damage. No effect. The Matildas continued. Unchanged, unaffected, undamaged, advancing. The impact physics were straightforward. 37mm shell traveling 762 meters per second. Struck 78mm armor at 60-degree angle. Impact energy, insufficient for penetration. Shell deformed, flattened, bounced. Energy dissipated in ricochet, in deformation, in heat, in sound, but not in penetration. Armor was proof, mathematically, physically, absolutely. This wasn't luck, wasn't skill, wasn't training, just physics, material science, engineering. Matilda armor was superior. Pak-36 shells were inadequate. Outcome was predetermined, certain, inevitable. German gunners were shocked, completely shocked. Training said direct hit kills tank. Experience said direct hit kills tank. Reality said direct hit does nothing. Cognitive dissonance. Reality contradicting training, contradicting experience, contradicting expectations. Minds struggled to process, couldn't reconcile, couldn't understand. Just watched shells bounce, spark, disappear. Tank continued. Unstoppable, invincible, impossible, but real. They reloaded, fired again. 6 more shells, 6 more hits, 6 more ricochets. Same result. Nothing. The armor was impenetrable, proof against 37mm, completely proof. The gunners panicked, fired frantically, repeatedly, desperately. 12 rounds, 18, 24, 30. Every shot hit. Perfect accuracy, perfect placement, perfect execution, perfect uselessness. Nothing worked, nothing penetrated, nothing mattered. The Matildas were 300 meters away, 250, 200, coming closer. Unstoppable, terrifying, deadly. Gun commander made decision. Abandon guns! Retreat! These weapons are useless! Fall back, now! Crews obeyed instantly, dropped equipment, grabbed rifles, fled, ran toward rear positions, seeking safety, seeking different weapons, seeking hope. The Pak-36 guns were left, loaded, aimed, ready, but abandoned, useless, irrelevant, impotent against Matilda armor. This was historic moment. First time in campaign German anti-tank crews abandoned their guns without orders, without authorization, without permission, just fled. Because weapons were useless, because training was inadequate, because reality was impossible. The invincible Wehrmacht was vulnerable, was penetrable, was defeatable. This psychological shock was enormous, spread rapidly. Other positions heard, saw, understood. Fear propagated. Morale collapsed. Confidence shattered. Everything Germans believed about superiority was questioned, challenged, disproven by slow British tanks, by obsolete equipment, by mocked vehicles. Reality was shocking. Reality was terrifying. Reality was inadmissible. The Matildas crushed the Pak-36 positions. Tracks ground guns into scrap, bent barrels, destroyed mechanisms, eliminated threats. Not that guns were threats, already neutralized by armor, but destroying them was symbolic, psychological, demonstrative, showing dominance, showing invincibility, showing German helplessness. Each crushed gun was statement. Pak-36 is useless. Standard weapons are inadequate. You need different solutions, different weapons, different tactics. Everything you prepared is wrong. Everything you trained is insufficient. Everything you assumed is false. Change now. Adapt now. Learn now. Or die. The advance continued past destroyed positions. 58 Matildas, still attacking, still advancing, encountering German infantry, machine gun positions, mortar teams, rifle squads. Everything scattered, withdrew, retreated. Infantry couldn't fight tanks, not these tanks, not with infantry weapons. Needed anti-tank support, artillery support, tank support, something, anything. But nothing was available, nothing was prepared, nothing was effective. Just retreat, fall back, survive, regroup, hope someone had solutions, because infantry didn't. Infantry was helpless, useless, defeated, without fighting. just by seeing invincible tanks, just by watching shells bounce, just by understanding vulnerability, psychological defeat, complete defeat, crushing defeat. Rommel saw this. Personally, from command position, watched his anti-tank guns fail, watched his infantry retreat, watched his positions collapse. This was unprecedented, unacceptable, catastrophic. He had to stop this, had to restore situation, had to defeat these tanks. But how? Standard weapons failed. Standard tactics failed. What would work? What could stop 78mm armor? He remembered the 88mm guns. Flak 18, anti-aircraft artillery, 88mm, high velocity, tremendous penetrating power, designed for shooting aircraft at high altitude, not tanks, not ground targets, but physics was physics. High velocity shell, large caliber, should penetrate anything, including Matilda armor. Theoretically. Possibly. Maybe. Worth trying. No other options available. He ordered 80mm guns deployed. Anti-tank role, unprecedented use, not doctrinal, not trained, not practiced, but necessary, essential, critical. The gun crews received orders, were confused. Shoot tanks? We shoot aircraft, not trained for ground targets. Learn fast, shoot tanks. Use direct fire, same principles as aircraft, just horizontal, not vertical. You can do this. You must do this. No choice, no alternative. Shoot tanks or lose battle. The Flak 18 was anti-aircraft weapon, Flugabwehrkanone 18, aircraft defense cannon model 1918, misnomer actually, designed 1928, produced 1933, but called 1918 for Treaty of Versailles compliance, claimed it was World War I weapon, modified, upgraded, not new, not prohibited, deception, successful deception. Germany rearmed under false pretenses. Flak 18 was new weapon, modern weapon, deadly weapon, just mislabeled. Specifications were impressive. Caliber, 82mm barrel length, 4.93 meters, L56 ratio, long barrel, high velocity, weight in combat, 5,000 tons, heavy, immobile when firing, required setup, deployment, time, but capabilities were extraordinary. Muzzle velocity, 820 meters per second. Armor penetration, 110 millimeters at 500 meters, 90 degrees angle, 84 millimeters at 1,000 meters, 108 millimeters at 2 kilometers with tungsten core. Devastating anti-tank performance, far superior to PaK-36, far superior to anything. Could penetrate any tank, any armor, any target, including Matilda, easily, reliably, certainly, but not designed for anti-tank role, designed for anti-aircraft, shoot bombers, shoot fighters, high-altitude targets, fast-moving targets, different tactics, different techniques, different training. Gun crews trained for aircraft, trained for vertical angles, trained for altitude calculations, trained for fast targets, not trained for horizontal fire, not trained for stationary targets, not trained for tanks. Everything was wrong training, wrong preparation, wrong experience. But physics was universal. Shell penetration didn't care about training, just velocity, mass, angle. Physics worked regardless. Training just improved efficiency, accuracy, speed. But basic capability existed, always existed, just needed recognition, application, desperation. The 82mm crews deployed, 4 guns, positioned behind infantry, elevated positions, small hills, good visibility, clear fields of fire, distance to British tanks, 1,200 meters, long range, but 82mm had range, had velocity, had penetration, should work, theoretically. The crews aimed. This was different. Horizontal target, ground target, tank target, everything unfamiliar, but principles remained. Calculate range, estimate speed, lead target, same mathematics, different application. They calculated, prepared, fired. The first 80mm shell hit Matilda at 1,000 meters, struck front glacis, 78mm armor, Thickest point, strongest area. The shell penetrated, punched through, entered crew compartment. Catastrophic event. Shell traveling 820 meters per second. Kinetic energy, 900,000 joules. Impact on 78mm armor created massive pressure. Stress exceeded material strength. Armor failed, fractured, penetrated. Shell continued through crew space. Hit commander, killed instantly. Hit gunner, killed instantly. Hit ammunition, detonated. Massive explosion. Internal pressure exceeded structural limits. Turret separated. Explosive force lifted it, threw it upward. 10 meters high. Landed separately, 15 meters away. Tank destroyed, catastrophically destroyed, instantly destroyed. One shot, one kill. Total destruction. The physics were undeniable. 88mm shell had twice the velocity of Pak-36, 4 times the kinetic energy. Fundamentally different capability, different class, different effectiveness. Matilda armor was proof against Pak-36, adequate against 50mm, marginal against 75mm, insufficient against 88mm. Nothing in 1940 was proof against 88mm. Heaviest armor anywhere was 78mm, Matilda itself. And 88mm penetrated 110mm. Massive overmatch. 32mm surplus penetration. More than adequate, more than sufficient. Absolute overkill. Matilda's armor was heavy, but not heavy enough. Not against dedicated anti-aircraft artillery used anti-tank role. That was unfair. That was cheating. That was winning. The Matilda battalion saw this, were shocked. Their invincible armor had failed, been penetrated, defeated, destroyed. This wasn't supposed to happen. Matilda was proof against all German weapons, all known weapons, all encountered weapons. Should be safe, should be invincible. But wasn't. Vulnerability existed. German weapon existed that could penetrate, could kill, could destroy. This changed everything. Changed tactics, changed confidence, changed outcome. Invincibility was illusion, temporary illusion, conditional illusion. Worked until it didn't. Protected until it couldn't. Saved lives until it failed. Nothing was absolute. Nothing was certain. Nothing was guaranteed. Just probability. Just statistics. Just hoping you weren't the unlucky one. Second Matilda hit. Same result. Penetration, explosion, destruction. Turret blown off. Crew killed. Tank eliminated. Third hit. Fourth. Fifth. Sixth. Seventh. Every shot penetrated. Every penetration killed. Every kill was catastrophic. 80-Matatzer wasn't just defeating Matildas, was annihilating them, completely destroying them, eliminating them. No survivors, no wounded, no damaged, just destroyed. Total kills, complete kills, absolute kills. This was terror. This was helplessness. This was death, inevitable death, unstoppable death, certain death, unless you retreated, unless you withdrew, unless you accepted defeat. King assessed situation rapidly. 80-mm guns were threat, serious threat, lethal threat. Had to avoid them, had to suppress them, had to neutralize them. But how? Matildas were slow, couldn't maneuver fast, couldn't flank quickly, couldn't close range rapidly, just advance slowly, take losses, accept casualties, continue mission, or withdraw, retreat, abandon attack, save remaining tanks. Which choice? Which decision? Which outcome? He chose continue. Mission was critical. Delay Rommel. Buy time. Even partial success mattered. Even expensive success was worth cost. Keep attacking. Accept losses. Complete mission. That was his duty, his responsibility, his choice. He ordered advance, continue, forward, engage, destroy what you can, survive if you can. Complete mission regardless. The attack continued. Another hour, more casualties. 7 Matildas destroyed by 88mm fire. 3 more disabled by mechanical failure. Slow speed created overheating. Engine problems, transmission failures, reliability issues, not combat damage, just mechanical inadequacy, design flaws, engineering compromises. Everything had trade-offs. Armor required weight. Weight reduced speed. Reduced speed increased strain. Strain caused failures. Failures reduced combat effectiveness. Everything connected. Everything compromised. Everything imperfect. But the attack succeeded. Partially. Temporarily. Strategically. Rommel's advance was stopped. For 8 hours. His 7th Panzer Division was delayed. Disrupted. Forced to reorganize. Redeploy 80mm guns. Change tactics. Adapt doctrine. This took time. Hours. Critical hours. Hours that saved British Expeditionary Force. Allowed withdrawal. Enabled Dunkirk evacuation. Preserved army. Prevented catastrophe. All because slow tanks attacked. Because armor worked. Because determination succeeded. Despite losses. Despite failures. Despite everything. Rommel later wrote about Arras. His memoirs. May 21st was my worst day of campaign. British heavy tanks attacked. Our anti-tank weapons were useless. Shells bounced off. Infantry fled. I thought we'd lose. Actually lose. For hours I wasn't sure we'd stop them. Slow tanks. Obsolete tanks. Ridiculous tanks we'd mocked. They nearly defeated us. Only 82mm guns saved us. Improvised use. Desperate measure. It worked. Barely. But shook my confidence. Made me realize we'd been arrogant. Dismissive. Wrong. British equipment wasn't all obsolete. Some was excellent. Matilda's armor was superior to anything we had. We'd mocked it. We were fools. Nearly paid for that foolishness with defeat. German intelligence reassessed Matilda after Arras. Previous evaluation. Obsolete. Ineffective. Unimportant. New evaluation. Dangerous. Effective. Priority target. Instructions to all units. Matilda tanks require 88mm guns. 37mm inadequate. Do not engage with standard anti-tank weapons. Withdraw. Call for 88mm support. Wait for heavy artillery. This was humiliating admission. German army couldn't defeat British tank with standard weapons. Needed special artillery. Needed improvisation. Needed adaptation. The invincible Wehrmacht was vulnerable. British knew this now. Germans knew this now. Everyone knew this now. Arras had taught lesson. Expensive lesson. Memorable lesson. Critical lesson. British propaganda exploited this. British tanks defeat German panzers. Rommel stopped at Arras. Wehrmacht retreats. Exaggerated. Misleading. Partially true. The attack hadn't defeated Germans. Just delayed them. But delay mattered. Delay saved army. Delay enabled Dunkirk. Strategic success despite tactical limitations. That's all that mattered. Results, outcomes, consequences. Not whether victory was complete or partial, just whether it achieved necessary goals. It did. Therefore success, therefore valuable, therefore validated. But British command learned wrong lessons. Saw Matilda's armor succeed. Concluded armor was paramount. Speed was secondary. Firepower was tertiary. This misreading shaped future development, future tanks, future doctrine. British tanks became heavily armored, slow, undergunned. Good defense, poor offense. This doctrine worked in defense, failed in offense, worked at Tobruk, failed at Gazala, worked in limited circumstances, failed in general warfare. Matilda's success at Arras created overconfidence, misplaced confidence, dangerous confidence. The reality was nuanced. Matilda succeeded because specific circumstances favored it. German anti-tank weapons were inadequate. 80mm deployment was improvised, slow, limited. If Germans had deployed 80mm guns properly, systematically, comprehensively, Matildas would have been slaughtered, destroyed easily. Armor alone wasn't enough. Needed combined arms, needed support, needed proper tactics. Matilda at Arras succeeded because Germans were unprepared, surprised, reactive. Not because Matilda was superior tank. It wasn't. It was specialized tank. Good for specific role, poor for general warfare. British missed this nuance. Overvalued armor, undervalued speed and firepower. Paid for this mistake. Later. North Africa, Burma, everywhere. King survived Arras, continued serving. North Africa, commanded Matilda Battalion, Tobruk Siege, defense. Matilda worked well, defensive role. Slow speed didn't matter, strong armor mattered. Held positions, stopped attacks, successful, validated. But later, offensive operations, Gazala, Crusader. Matilda failed. Too slow, couldn't pursue, couldn't exploit, couldn't maneuver. German panzers danced around them, outflanked, surrounded, destroyed. Matilda's limitations became liabilities, weaknesses, fatal flaws. King wrote report, brutally honest. Matilda is defensive tank, excellent armor, adequate firearm, inadequate speed, works in defense, fails in offense. We need faster tanks, better guns, can't win war with heavy armor alone, need mobility, need firepower, need balance. Matilda is imbalanced, over-specialized, wrong for general warfare, recommend replacement, development, new designs, learn from Matilda, don't repeat it. His report was ignored. Partially. British tank development continued emphasizing armor, Churchill tank, even slower than Matilda, even heavier armor, even less mobile, repeated mistakes, amplified them, made them worse. British armor doctrine was flawed, fundamentally flawed, wouldn't be corrected until late war, until Cromwell, until Comet, until lessons were learned, painfully, expensively, unnecessarily. But Matilda's moment at Arras mattered, changed campaign, delayed Germans, enabled Dunkirk, saved army, preserved British capability, allowed continued resistance. Eventually, victory. Would Britain have survived without Dunkirk? Possibly not. Would Dunkirk have succeeded without Arras? Possibly not. Would Arras have succeeded without Matilda? Definitely not. The slow, mocked, obsolete tank was critical, essential, decisive, at specific moment, in specific circumstances, against specific enemy, perfect intersection, perfect timing, perfect outcome, despite imperfections, despite limitations, despite mockery. The Germans who mocked Matilda learned painfully, learned memorably, learned permanently. Slow didn't mean ineffective. Heavy didn't mean bad. Different didn't mean inferior, just different. Specialized, situational. Context mattered. Circumstances mattered. Proper use mattered. Matilda used properly was devastating. Used improperly was vulnerable. Everything depended on context, on situation, on leadership, on luck. Same tank, different outcomes. Everything circumstantial, everything conditional, everything complex. What shocked them most wasn't armor, wasn't invulnerability, was confidence. British tankers advanced steadily, under fire, knowing they were proof against standard weapons, knowing they were safe, protected, invincible. This confidence translated to effectiveness, to determination, to success, psychological advantage, morale advantage, intangible advantage, but critical, essential, decisive. Soldiers who believe they're invulnerable fight differently, better, harder, longer. This made difference. This made Matilda effective. Beyond specifications, beyond measurements, beyond statistics. Human element, psychological element, unknowable element, but real and powerful. Rommel learned from Arras, learned deeply, learned permanently, never again dismissed enemy equipment, never again assumed superiority, never again mocked opponents, always respected, always prepared, always careful. Arras taught him humility, taught him caution, taught him respect. These lessons shaped his career, shaped his tactics, shaped his success. North Africa, Normandy, everything. He became better commander because British tanks nearly defeated him, because slow, mocked, ridiculous tanks taught him vulnerability, taught him limits, taught him reality. He was grateful. Strange gratitude. Enemy taught him. Enemy made him better. Enemy nearly killed him. But surviving made him stronger, wiser, more effective. Paradoxical outcome, but true outcome. Real outcome. Important outcome. Years after war, historian interviewed Rommel. Before North Africa, about Arras, about Matilda. What did you learn from May 21st? Never mock what you don't understand. Matilda looked ridiculous, slow, obsolete. We laughed. Then it nearly defeated us. Not because it was superior tank, because we underestimated it. Assumptions are dangerous. Mockery is arrogant. Arrogance kills. We learned, expensively, but learned. After Arras, I never dismissed enemy equipment, never assumed inferiority, always respected, always prepared, always careful. That made me better commander. Matilda taught me that. Slow, mocked, ridiculous British tank taught Erwin Rommel humility. Strange teacher, effective lesson, grateful for it. The British tankers who survived Arras remembered differently. Remembered terror. Remembered losses. Remembered 88mm shells penetrating. Remembered friends dying. Remembered retreat. Remembered failure. Because attack didn't defeat Germans, just delayed them. Tactical success felt like failure. Survival felt like defeat. This was combat psychology. Victory wasn't celebrated, just survived. Losses weren't forgotten, just endured. Complex emotions, contradictory feelings, everything mixed, everything confused, everything real. Lieutenant Pearson wrote home. His letter survived, published later. We attacked today. Our tanks were invincible until they weren't. German shells bounced off until they didn't. We were winning until we weren't. Lost friends, lost tanks, lost confidence, but accomplished mission, delayed enemy, saved army. But doesn't feel like victory. Feels like survival, like escape, like luck. War is complicated. Victory is complicated. Everything is complicated. Nothing is simple. Nothing is clear. Nothing is certain. Just survive. Try again. Hope for better. That's all. This captured reality. Better than propaganda. Better than reports. Better than statistics. Complicated, messy, uncertain, real. War wasn't heroic, wasn't glorious, wasn't clear, just complicated, just messy, just real. Matilda at Arras was complicated, messy, real, success and failure, victory and defeat, invincible and vulnerable, everything simultaneously, everything contradictory, everything true. That's reality. That's war. That's lesson. They mocked the tank that moved like infantry, laughed at armor-heavy beast with pop gun, called it obsolete, called it relic, called it joke. Then it stopped Rommel, shattered his anti-tank guns, routed his infantry, delayed his panzers, saved British Army, enabled Dunkirk, changed war. The joke wasn't funny anymore. The mockery became respect. The obsolete became essential. Reality shocked everyone. Germans most of all. They were invincible until they weren't. They were superior until they weren't. They were certain until they weren't. Matilda taught them uncertainty, taught them vulnerability, taught them humility, expensive education, memorable education, necessary education. The slow tank taught fast lesson, simple lesson, important lesson. Never mock what you don't understand. Never dismiss what you haven't tested. Never assume victory until proven. Arras proved everything, disproved everything, taught everything, shocked everyone. That's legacy, that's story, that's truth.